37,276 passing yards, 234 touchdowns, 6 Pro Bowls, and 0 Super Bowl rings. Behind these statistics lies one of the most polarizing quarterbacks in NFL history, Donovan McNabb. Despite being the Eagles' all-time leader in every major passing category, McNabb remains a divisive figure in Philadelphia and across the NFL. Fans who celebrated his innovative dual-threat capabilities clashed with critics who questioned his ability to deliver in critical moments. The McNabb era left an emotional legacy that continues to divide the fan base today. Was he a transformative quarterback who revolutionized the position, or an underachiever who couldn't win the big one? Today, we break down the McNabb paradox through several career-defining moments that reveal his true legacy. The echoes of that infamous chorus of boos still ring through NFL history. What began as an orchestrated protest by the Dirty 30, a group of Eagles fans dispatched to the 1999 draft by radio host Angelo Cataldi and Philadelphia Mayor Ed Rendell, would become the unexpected opening chapter in one of football's most remarkable redemption stories. Those fans wanted Ricky Williams, the Heisman Trophy-winning running back. Instead, a first-year head coach named Andy Reid made a decision that would define a franchise for over a decade. "I wanted him to be a part of it, the person who stuck with me for 11 years, Reid would later explain about selecting McNabb. It was a bold choice that immediately placed an extraordinary weight on the shoulders of a 22-year-old quarterback from Syracuse. McNabb entered the NFL with hometown fans actively organizing to express their disappointment in his selection, forcing him to battle opposing defenses while carrying the burden of unwanted expectations. His rookie campaign offered glimpses of potential, though the numbers remained modest. Taking over midway through the season, McNabb started just 6 games, connecting on 106 passes for 948 yards while throwing 8 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. These were humble beginnings, but Reid recognized the foundation being built beneath the statistics. The transformation came in 2000, McNabb's second season, when Reid's vision for his quarterback materialized dramatically. McNabb erupted for 3,365 passing yards and 21 touchdowns, while adding another dimension with 629 rushing yards on the ground. The Eagles, previously a 3-13 team before McNabb's arrival, surged to an 11-5 record and their first playoff appearance since 1996. McNabb became the engine driving Philadelphia's success, accounting for a staggering 74.6% of the Eagles' total offense in that breakthrough 2000 campaign, the third highest mark in the NFL. This wasn't simply a good quarterback benefiting from a great system. This was a quarterback elevating an entire organization through sheer will and athletic brilliance. The contrast with his draft classmates couldn't be more striking. Tim Couch, selected first, Akili Smith, third, and Cade McNown, 12th, all flamed out spectacularly, their careers becoming cautionary tales. Of the 5 quarterbacks selected in that first round, only McNabb constructed a career worthy of long-term remembrance. While disappointed fans had anticipated failure on draft day, they received a dual-threat pioneer who redefined quarterback possibilities. McNabb's ability to devastate defenses with both arm and legs established a template for the modern mobile quarterback, challenging conventional wisdom about winning football. Yet even as McNabb transformed the Eagles into perennial contenders, the shadow of that draft day reception never fully dissipated. Each interception carried additional weight, each playoff stumble amplified by lingering questions of whether Philadelphia had chosen correctly. Few quarterbacks have performed under such relentless scrutiny, with initial rejection creating a narrative that followed McNabb regardless of his accumulated victories. The skepticism that followed McNabb throughout his career becomes even more puzzling when you look beyond the hot takes and examine what he actually brought to the football field. While critics fixated on perceived flaws, NFL defensive coordinators lost sleep trying to solve the McNabb equation. How do you contain a 240-pound quarterback who could outrun your linebackers while still possessing the arm strength to launch missiles 60 yards downfield? McNabb was a defensive coordinator's nightmare, a 6'2", 240-pound athletic paradox who moved like a running back trapped in a linebacker's body, yet could unleash precision passes with devastating arm strength. Unlike many mobile quarterbacks, McNabb devoted himself to mastering pocket passing while maintaining his explosive running ability, creating a dual threat few defenses could counter. His 2000 performance against Washington showcased this rare skill set. On a critical third down play late in the third quarter, McNabb escaped 3 collapsing defenders, accelerated past the linebacker containment, and raced 54 yards downfield, part of his 125-yard rushing day, the highest total by any quarterback since 1972. When Washington adjusted their coverage to spy McNabb, he responded by finding receivers in the zones defensive backs had abandoned. As McNabb developed into a position-redefining talent, critics curiously intensified their scrutiny of his accuracy and football IQ. This criticism reached its ugliest point in 2003 when Rush Limbaugh claimed on ESPN that McNabb was overrated because the media has been very desirous that a black quarterback do well. The comments, which led to Limbaugh's resignation, exposed the racial undertones that had dogged McNabb since draft day. The statistics contradicted these critiques. McNabb maintained a career interception rate of just 2.2%, among the lowest in NFL history during his era. The quarterback labeled inaccurate was actually one of the game's most careful decision-makers, maximizing explosive plays while protecting the football. His legendary 2002 performance against Arizona embodied his exceptional toughness. Playing on what was later diagnosed as a broken ankle, McNabb dominated the game, throwing for 255 yards and 4 touchdowns in a display of grit that defied medical explanation. In Andy Reid's West Coast offense, McNabb balanced his natural running instincts with disciplined pocket passing. His 3,459 career rushing yards and 29 touchdowns only hint at his mobility's impact. The constant threat of McNabb breaking containment forced defenses to assign a spy player, creating opportunities elsewhere as he mastered Reid's timing-based passing attack. Defenses facing McNabb confronted an impossible dilemma: rush aggressively, and he'd escape for substantial gains; play conservatively, and he'd pick apart secondaries with his powerful arm. This strategic checkmate left defensive coordinators choosing between equally undesirable outcomes, cementing McNabb's legacy as one of the most challenging quarterbacks to game plan against. While defensive coordinators faced a no-win situation against McNabb in regular season matchups, January football revealed a more complex story. For all the nightmares McNabb caused opposing defenses, he found himself trapped in a haunting pattern of his own making. 3 straight conference championship losses would have broken most quarterbacks, yet McNabb somehow kept bringing Philadelphia back to the doorstep of greatness, all while a growing chorus questioned whether he could ever kick down that final door. Few franchises in NFL history have reached 4 consecutive conference championship games. McNabb guided the Eagles through this rare achievement, pushing his team to the brink of the Super Bowl year after year like a marathon runner who repeatedly collapsed just yards from the finish line. The 2001 NFC Championship against the Saints, Louis Rams showcased both his brilliance and potential. Facing the legendary greatest show on turf offense, McNabb nearly engineered a monumental upset, throwing for 300 yards and accounting for 2 touchdowns in a narrow 29-24 defeat. His performance suggested he could shine on football's biggest stage, yet the summit kept shifting away from his grasp. The narrative turned dramatically the following season when the Eagles entered the 2002 NFC Championship as favorites against Tampa Bay. McNabb suffered through his most disappointing playoff performance against the Buccaneers' historically dominant defense, one that surrendered just 196 points all season. He completed only 18 of 37 passes for 191 yards with 3 interceptions in a 27-10 defeat. Critics pounced, questioning his championship medal. The 2003 NFC Championship against Carolina presented an even crueler twist. In the second quarter, McNabb absorbed a punishing hit from Panthers defenders that left him with separated rib cartilage. Fighting through excruciating pain, his effectiveness diminished with each passing quarter. By the fourth quarter, the Eagles had no choice but to replace him with backup Coy Detmer in the 14-3 loss. History was unforgiving. McNabb joined Ken Stabler and Danny White as the only quarterbacks to lead their teams to 3 consecutive conference title game losses. His cumulative passer rating across those championship defeats was a meager 50.5, a number that would rank among the league's worst quarterbacks during regular seasons, revealing how dramatically his performance declined in these crucial games. Everything changed in 2004. With the addition of Terrell Owens, McNabb finally had the elite receiving threat he'd lacked throughout his career. The regular season showcased their potent connection as McNabb posted career-best numbers, 3,875 passing yards and 31 touchdowns, while guiding Philadelphia to a dominant 13-3 record. In the NFC Championship rematch against Atlanta, McNabb delivered his finest postseason performance, completing 68% of his passes for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns without an interception. His stellar 111.1 passer rating silenced critics as the Eagles cruised to a 27-10 victory, finally breaking through to the Super Bowl. The Patriots dynasty stood as the final obstacle between Donovan McNabb and football immortality. After silencing his critics in the NFC Championship, McNabb now faced the defining moment of his career on the sport's grandest stage. Super Bowl XXXIX represented McNabb's opportunity to transform from controversial figure to Philadelphia legend with just one victory. What followed was perhaps the most contradictory quarterback performance in Super Bowl history. McNabb's 357 passing yards rank as the third highest total ever recorded in the championship game. He connected for 3 touchdowns that should have cemented his legacy as a clutch performer. Yet simultaneously, 3 devastating interceptions undermined those impressive numbers. A brilliant display and heartbreaking collapse existing in the same game, forcing us to question how we measure greatness when excellence and failure intertwine so completely. 2 interceptions occurred in New England territory, squandering scoring opportunities, while the final interception, a deflected pass with just 12 seconds remaining, extinguished Philadelphia's last hope. The game also birthed football's enduring mystery, the vomit controversy that overshadowed the actual on-field performance. Several teammates claimed McNabb was physically ill during crucial late-game drives, while McNabb firmly denied it. "I didn't get tired. I took a couple of hits." This incident perfectly encapsulated the unusual scrutiny that defined McNabb's career. More damaging than the interceptions was Philadelphia's puzzling clock management in the fourth quarter. Trailing by 10 points and needing 2 scores, the Eagles' offense operated with a perplexing lack of urgency. The methodical pace became the focal point of post-game criticism and permanently tarnished McNabb's reputation as a field general. The image of McNabb seemingly confused by the game situation became the defining snapshot of his leadership abilities. The Super Bowl aftermath proved equally consequential. Terrell Owens had delivered a remarkable performance despite racing back from a serious injury, hauling in 9 receptions for 122 yards. Yet the relationship between quarterback and receiver deteriorated rapidly, exploding into a public feud that fractured the Eagles' locker room. A team poised for multiple championship runs imploded almost immediately after reaching its peak. Perhaps most remarkable was how McNabb shouldered nearly the entire offensive burden, accounting for almost 90% of Philadelphia's total offense. The Eagles struggled to establish any ground game, leaving McNabb to attempt 51 passes, a Super Bowl record at that time. The cruel irony becomes apparent when comparing his statistics to other Hall of Fame quarterbacks in their first championship games. His numbers eclipse several legendary signal callers who lifted the Lombardi Trophy despite more modest outputs. The line between immortality and controversy proved remarkably thin. A few different bounces of the football, and McNabb might be remembered alongside the game's greatest winners rather than as an enigmatic figure who couldn't capture the ultimate prize. 51 passes in a Super Bowl wasn't just a record. It was a metaphor for McNabb's entire career. A quarterback asked to shoulder an impossible burden, only to be criticized when he couldn't quite carry his team to the promised land. While his legacy continues to spark heated debate among football fans, McNabb's statistical achievements demand respect. The numbers reveal a quarterback who matched the postseason success of Hall of Famers, securing 9 playoff victories, the same number as Jim Kelly and Peyton Manning. Yet mention McNabb in Philadelphia today, and you'll ignite a passionate argument about his true place in NFL history. No single play better encapsulates McNabb's extraordinary abilities than the legendary 4th and 26 conversion against Green Bay in the 2003 playoffs. With Philadelphia's season hanging by a thread, McNabb delivered a perfect strike to Freddie Mitchell between defenders, keeping championship hopes alive. That clutch completion, requiring both physical talent and mental fortitude, led to an overtime victory that stands as one of the most iconic moments in Eagles history. The abrupt end came in 2010 when Philadelphia traded McNabb to Washington for a second-round pick. Andy Reid's somber reflection, "I wanted him to be a part of it, the person who stuck with me for 11 years, captured the emotional weight of ending the most successful period in modern Eagles history. McNabb's decline afterward was swift, with disappointing stints in Washington and Minnesota becoming mere footnotes to his Eagles legacy. Throughout his career, McNabb faced challenges extending beyond the field. The criticism from NLAACP President J. Wyatt Mondesire about whether McNabb was black enough highlighted the complicated racial dynamics surrounding black quarterbacks in the NFL, forcing him to navigate both on-field expectations and off-field stereotypes. The Hall of Fame debate surrounding McNabb perfectly captures his career's contradictions. His statistics compare favorably with several enshrined quarterbacks, yet the absence of a championship ring overshadows his achievements. While some argue his impact warrants consideration, others maintain Super Bowl victories remain the ultimate measuring stick. What makes McNabb truly remarkable is how he pioneered the dual-threat quarterback model during an era still prioritizing traditional pocket passers. Current stars like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson follow a blueprint McNabb helped create, yet he rarely receives credit for his revolutionary approach. Time has allowed for a more nuanced evaluation of McNabb's impact. His career exists in that gray area that defies categorization, too accomplished to dismiss, yet missing championship validation. McNabb remains caught between eras, pioneering a style that transformed quarterback play only to watch others reap the rewards of the path he blazed. As McNabb's remarkable career fades into NFL history, his influence radiates through today's game. Patrick Mahomes, the face of modern football, openly credits McNabb's dual-threat style as the blueprint for his own approach. What was once considered unorthodox has become the gold standard, with stars like Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray building upon the foundation McNabb helped establish. Beyond the field, McNabb has channeled his competitive drive into broadcasting while making lasting impact through his Donovan McNabb Foundation's fight against diabetes and his QB Legacy nonprofit, mentoring young quarterbacks from underserved communities. The Hall of Fame debate surrounding McNabb reveals football's complicated relationship with legacy. Despite no Super Bowl ring, his pioneering style forever changed how we evaluate quarterback excellence, proving that true greatness transcends traditional metrics alone.